SoCal Surf with Dan. Surf's up, as they say. You've heard the expression. It means that the surf is really good. And today is that day that it's really good. It was head high, no wind, glassy conditions, smooth, just so great. So it was up. It wasn't sunny, but that doesn't matter too much as far as the surf goes. It's just really great to be in the water when it's smooth like that and very hollow. And it's the shore break getting out. There was very little shore break. I mean, it was knee high. So that's usually the case when the tide is out, and it's very low tide right now. In fact, it was minus tide, which means it's lower than usual. And it was easy to get past the shore break and then just paddle out. And then once you get past the shore break, there's still a dead zone, which is famous in Huntington. And you just keep paddling and paddling. And then after you get past the dead zone, then you start getting into the bigger waves. And so you have to watch for the breaks and go out. A lot of duck diving today, because when the waves are breaking that big on shallower, where the tide is out, the wave breaks more hollow, which means it's more like what you see on TV with the Bonsai Pipeline, some of the better breaks. When the tide is up and the surf is smaller, the wave kind of crumbles from the top down, very mellow. But when it's like it was today with low tide and big surf, it's very fast and it's quick. As soon as you catch the wave, you've got to stand up and turn immediately, or you're going to get hammered very badly. So you got to be quick. If you're not going to make the wave, sometimes you got to pull out or dive underneath it, because that much power will throw you around pretty good, and it gets dangerous if you're not careful. And in view of my recent head injuries, I was very careful today. But it went well, very good. Got a great left right off the bat, and it's breaking hollow. I was trying to get underneath it, but it was just hitting me in the head, and so water was splashing in my face, and I'm flying along the line going really fast. I couldn't see where I was going because the water was in my face, and I was just hoping there was nobody in front of me, because there wasn't when I started out, but as you get further in, people paddling out. So I didn't see anybody, and then all of a sudden I came out of it, and just a little hoo-hoo as I peeled off the top and started my way back outside. But it was fast and it was fun. And then I got a good right where I dropped. My foot slipped off a little bit on the back. I didn't have my footing right, but when I pulled it back, then I hit hard on the bottom and came off that bottom turn backside, and then came off the top on a beautiful little sweeping left turn. Looks more like, and not to compare myself with any of the greats, but Jordy Smith from South Africa and Joel Parkinson, as they do those sweeping turns. That's what it felt like. It felt pretty smooth and just right off the top. So very much, very fun and very full of adrenaline. So that was fun. A few more lefts and rights. I couldn't connect it to the inside. A lot of times you can do that, but today it wasn't possible. There wasn't enough wave to carry all the way in, so you pull out, which was good, because pulling out soon enough, you can get outside faster. If you ride the wave too long, then you got to paddle all the way back out. Just a FYI. If you get caught inside when the sets are coming, it's a duck dive after duck dive. And then the people on bigger boards have to ditch their board and dive under the wave. And so it takes a long time to get back out, because then you got to pull your board back to you and get on it, straighten out, and start paddling again. It's better if you can duck dive, but you can only do that on a smaller board. But you duck dive, then you come up the back, you're still on your board and you're still facing out, so you can immediately start to paddle. And it's a little, when you do that, when you come up the back and all that foam, if it's foamy, then you're paddling. You're not really going anywhere, because the bubbles from underneath are just kind of killing your momentum. As soon as those bubbles settle out, then you can make more ground. So the first few strokes after I've come up under a duck dive, I usually take very mellow and very easy, because I'm really not getting anywhere. I'm just trying to get my bearing. And then as the foam dissipates, then I start paddling harder, try to make the next wave and try to get underneath it. And if you can get underneath it before it turns white, and even if it's crumbling, you can usually get on the other side pretty easy. But today there was a couple of sets where I had to duck dive just as it was breaking, and I can tell I was going to get hammered. So I ducked as far as I could, got as deep as I could, and the 7 footer is hard to get deep. I should have brought my 6. but the 7-footer's hard to get deeper, so I had to clench my elbows around the board and hang on because it just wants to pull you over and throw you around, which is all part of the experience. Still fun. So great day. Had a few rookies with us that had a hard time. When the surf gets that big, it's hard for beginners because they're getting, because they got to ditch their board and then get it again. They're not strong as paddlers, and so they have a lot more paddling, a lot more work for them, and so it's harder for beginners and surf in that condition. But it was beautiful for the more experienced surfers. Nobody wanted to get out of the water, but all the rookies were on the sand pretty early, about an hour and a half. They were done. Actually, probably an hour, and they were done. And I remember those days. It wasn't too long ago for me. I didn't want to go out on days like that because it was just too much work, and it was, it's not 100% safe. So, but those days, are hard to, hard to surf. But you just got to keep going, and the more you go, the more used to it you get, and so you get more familiar with what the ocean is doing. You learn to paddle without, using up all your breath, because when you have to duck dive or ditch the board, you're going to be underwater longer. And if you've been paddling really hard and you're breathing really hard, it's really difficult to hold your breath for any length of time. So you want to paddle casually, just try to make some good ground. Then when the wave comes, get under it, come up, and then paddle some more. And then wait for the breaks. Today there were breaks when the surf would just go flat for a few minutes, and that's when you want to paddle hard and get outside and not have to get hammered again by the ocean. There was no wildlife in the ocean. I didn't see anything today, but we did hear a story from yesterday when one of our guys pedaled down to the pier and walked out to the end, and the guy caught a spider crab, which is it's about a 3-foot wide legs and body, and it looks like a spider. It's black, and it's got a round center, and the legs go out quite a bit, so it's pretty cool. And one of the girls that was with us didn't like that story at all. She doesn't like to be reminded of what things are in the ocean. So I understand. You don't want to think about that when you're out there. I mean, you can't. You just want to think about the surf. But there's a lot of stuff in the ocean. But fortunately, they don't usually care too much what we're doing. So we're pretty careful. But they're there. There's nothing you can do. They're not leaving. So if you want to surf, don't think about that. Think about the waves and the condition, and look at the wave and see where the edges are. Because a lot of those big waves come in, they were just solid walls of water where you take off, but the whole wave breaks and there's nowhere to go. And the white water is difficult to ride because it's just bubbles. So if you look at the outside, you're looking at waves come in, you kind of look and see where the darker, as it gets ready to break, it turns a darker color because of the light reflection. And so you look at where the lighter edges are, and you aim for the edges, and then you catch a wave. Look in that direction. You're probably going to be okay. Try to stay away from the closeouts if you can. But good day at Huntington Beach today. Good size, head high. Current was still coming out of the south, which is good. It keeps the water a little bit warmer, but it also pushes you down the beach. We started on Lifeguard Station 6, which is a second one from the pier, because the pier was too crowded, so we went a little further north, and we got in, and we ended up on the other side of the condos, which is like Lifeguard Station 11 or 10. I think it's 10. So it's a distance. You got to keep paddling south to stay in your surf area, which is exhausting. But the current's going to stay probably this direction now through the summer, and some days it's really, really fast. But today it was manageable. It wasn't too bad. And I know there's days in the summer where I've surfed, got out of the water, walked back down the beach a quarter mile, and got back in the water. And I've done that like 3 times before just to stay in the area I wanted to be in, which is by the pier. So, and if you paddle out by the pier, usually it's easier because if you stay along the pylons, the pillars, the cement, whatever you want to call it, you have less waves to duck dive because it doesn't break as hard there. Okay, that is all for today. Thanks for listening, and we're looking forward till tomorrow because it looks like the same conditions. So, maybe we'll try something different, just a little bit further north, maybe by the cliffs or the gap between the cliffs. All right, till then, thanks for watching. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, Merch Hero, Task Bullet, and NappyClothing.com. Thanks again. Bye.